Before the stars, before the earth, before even the gods themselves, there was nothing but an endless, swirling abyss. A void so vast that time itself did not exist. It was a realm of silence, a place untouched by creation. But from this emptiness, something stirred. A force beyond human comprehension, limitless, powerful, eternal. This was Olodumare, the Supreme Being. The first, the highest, the one from whom all things would come. But he was not a god of chaos. He was a god of balance, of purpose. And he held within him something greater than the universe itself, the power of Ash, the divine energy that breathes life into all things. But power like this must be shared. And so, Olodumare would create others to govern the realms beneath him. These beings would become legends, their names whispered for generations. They were the Orishas, gods unlike any the world had ever seen. But what if I told you that their birth was not peaceful? That even among the gods, there was jealousy, betrayal, and an eternal struggle for dominance. Stay with me until the end, because today, you will uncover a story that has been hidden in the depths of African mythology, a story of creation, war, and the fragile balance between gods and men. But before we continue, if you love ancient legends and untold myths, make sure you subscribe, because we are about to dive into a world where gods walk among us. Chapter 1: The Infinite Void and the Supreme Creator. In the beginning, there was only Orion, the limitless sky, vast and empty. No stars, no sun, no moon. Below it, there was only the primordial waters, stretching endlessly, unmoving, untouched. Above all of this sat Olodumare, silent and watching. He had no need for temples or followers. He was existence itself. But he knew that power without purpose was nothing. And so, he reached into the depth of his being and brought forth the first great force, Ash. With this power, he shaped the first three realms, the realm of the heavens, where he would reside, the realm of the physical world, where life would take form, and the unseen realm, a place of spirits and energies, where balance would be maintained. But even with these realms, something was missing. The world was still empty, silent, waiting. So Olodumare spoke. His voice was not like ours. It was thunder without sound, light without fire, a force that bent reality itself. And with that voice, he called forth the first being, a guardian, a creator, a god who would sculpt the earth itself. His name was Obatala. Obatala, the king of the white cloth, was pure of heart, wise beyond measure. He would become the one to mold the physical world, but he was not the only one created that day. Because where there is light, there must also be shadow. And so, from the same breath that formed Obatala, another being emerged. A being of mystery, of wit, of trickery. His name was Esu, the divine messenger, the trickster who could bend fate itself. And in the future, his role would be greater than anyone could have imagined. But the creation was not yet done. More were needed. More hands to shape the world. And so, one by one, the Orishas were born, Ogun, the god of war and iron. Orunmila, the keeper of wisdom and destiny, and Yemoja, the mother of all waters, from whose depths life itself would rise. The world was taking shape. But even among the gods, ambition could not be silenced. And what came next was a war that would shake the very foundations of existence itself. Globe showing Europe Africa Chapter 2, the first mission, Obatala's journey to create the earth. With the heavens above and the waters below, the world was still incomplete. There was no land, no mountains, no forest, only the endless stretch of water, waiting for the touch of creation. And so, Olodumare, in his infinite wisdom, called upon Obatala. "Go down," Olodumare commanded. "Shape the world so that life may walk upon it." Obatala, ever obedient, accepted his task. But creating a world from nothing was no small feat. He would need the right tools. And so, Olodumare provided him with the sacred bag of creation, a mystical satchel that contained the very essence of the physical world. Within this bag lay 5 powerful elements. 1. A golden chain to descend from the heavens. 2. A snail shell filled with sacred sand to shape the land. 3. A palm nut that would bring forth the first tree. 4. A white hen, small yet powerful, and 5. The most mysterious of all, a divine secret that would determine the fate of creation itself. With his tools in hand, Obatala began his descent. He climbed to the edge of Oran, the heavens, where the golden chain had been anchored. Slowly, he stepped onto it, feeling the cold metal beneath his feet as he began his journey downward. Below him stretched the endless waters, dark and mysterious. The deeper he descended, the stronger the weight of his mission felt upon his shoulders. But he did not waver. He had been chosen. He would create the earth. Finally, when he reached the end of the chain, he paused, floating above the abyss. And then, he opened the sacred bag. First, he took out the snail shell filled with sand, and poured it beneath him. As the grains fell, something incredible happened. The waters began to shift, bubbling and stirring as land began to rise from below. Next, he reached for the white hen and released it. The hen fluttered its wings and landed upon the sand, scratching and scattering it in all directions. With each movement, hills formed, valleys took shape, mountains began to rise. The world was forming, but it was still barren. It lacked life, movement, growth. And so, from the bag, Obatala pulled the palm nut and planted it deep into the new soil. Instantly, roots spread, and the first great tree burst forth, its leaves stretching toward the heavens. The earth had been shaped. Obatala had succeeded. But he did not know that his greatest mistake was yet to come. High Voltage Chapter 3, The Costly Mistake, How the First Humans Were Born. Obatala had created the world, but it was empty. There was no life, no creatures to walk upon the land he had shaped. And so, he decided to do something never done before. He would create beings in his own image. Gathering the clay from the new earth, he knelt and began to mold. Slowly, carefully, he shaped the first humans, arms, legs, faces, each one unique. He worked tirelessly, sculpting one after another, filling the world with life. But he did not realize he was growing tired. The journey had been long, the weight of creation heavy. And so, without realizing it, his hands began to stumble. Some of the figures he molded were not like the others. Some had imperfections, some were shorter, some taller, some different in shape. Exhausted, he stepped back and admired his work. He did not see the differences as mistakes, each one was beautiful, unique. But when Olodumare saw what had been done, he knew that something had changed. And so, he decreed, "From this day forward, let the children of the earth be diverse, each shaped in their own way. No two shall be the same, for it is in difference that true beauty lies." Asterisk. And so, the first humans were born, not identical, not perfect, but each with their own form, their own purpose. But Obatala, he was not done. He looked upon his creation and saw that they were lifeless, still as statues. They needed something more. Something greater than flesh. And so, he called upon Olodumare once more. And Olodumare, in his infinite wisdom, did something only he could do. He breathed life into them. And for the first time, the world was filled with movement. The first humans opened their eyes. The world was awake. Cross Swords Chapter 4, The First Conflict, the War of the Orishas. But where there is creation, there is also jealousy. Not all of the Orishas were pleased with what had been done. Some believed that only the gods should exist, that giving life to weak, mortal beings was a mistake. One of these was Ogun, the god of war and iron. "These humans are fragile," he scoffed. They are not worthy of this world. But another Orisha stepped forward in their defense, Oromala, the god of wisdom. They are not weak, he said. They are gifted with ash, the power of creation itself. They can shape their own destinies. And so, the first divide among the gods began. The first conflict in the heavens. A battle was coming, one that would test the very balance of creation itself. Crossroads chapter 5, the divine war, when the Orishas turned against each other. The world had been created. The first humans walked the earth. But not all the gods were pleased. In the celestial realms, a growing conflict was about to erupt, a battle that would shake the heavens and threaten the balance of existence itself. It began with a simple disagreement. Ogun, the god of war and iron, saw humans as weak, unworthy of the divine gifts they had been given. He believed that only the Orishas should walk the earth, that mortals would defile the sacred land that had been created. They are fragile, Ogun declared, gripping his iron staff. They do not belong in our world. But standing in his way was Oromala, the god of wisdom and destiny. You are wrong, Ogun, he said. These humans are different. They have something no Orisha possesses, the ability to choose their own fate. The heavens grew silent. The Orishas stood divided, some siding with Ogun, others with Oromala. And at the heart of it all was Obatala, the creator of mankind, now forced to defend the very beings he had molded with his own hands. And then, the first strike was thrown. Ogun, furious with Oromala's defiance, raised his blade and attacked. The heavens erupted into chaos as the Orishas clashed. Lightning tore across the skies. The ground beneath them trembled. Shango, the god of thunder, let out a deafening roar as bolts of fire crashed down, setting the skies ablaze. The war of the gods had begun. Joka chapter 6, the trickster's game, how Esu manipulated the fate of gods and men. But while the gods waged war, one figure stood in the shadows, watching, waiting. His name was Esu, the divine trickster. And where there was chaos, he saw opportunity. Unlike the other Orishas, Esu did not choose sides. He did not fight for war or for peace. He fought only for balance. And in this moment, balance was unraveling. So he devised a plan. A test. A game that would decide the fate of both gods and men. While Ogun and Oromala clashed in the heavens, Esu descended to the earth. He walked among the humans, unseen, his form shifting like smoke. He watched them struggle, watched them build, watched them learn. And then, he whispered to them the secret of fire. In an instant, mankind had changed. They were no longer weak, no longer defenseless. They had been given something greater than strength, they had been given knowledge. And when the Orishas saw this, they stopped. Ogun lowered his blade. Oromala stepped forward, watching in silence. For the first time, they saw what Esu had already known, that humans were not just clay and breath, they were something more. Something unpredictable. Something powerful. And so, the war of the Orishas came to an end. Not because one side had won, but because Esu had shown them the truth. But this was only the beginning. Because with knowledge came ambition. With fire came destruction. And from that moment on, the balance between gods and men would never be the same again. Crystal Ball chapter 7, the prophecy, the hidden warning that foretold the return of the Orishas. The war had ended, but the heavens were not at peace. The gods had retreated to Oran, watching as humans began to shape their own world. But as they observed, one thing became clear. The balance was shifting once again. With fire in their hands and knowledge in their minds, mankind grew bold. They built great kingdoms, raised mighty warriors, and soon, they no longer looked to the heavens for guidance. Some even forgot the Orishas altogether. And so, a prophecy was spoken. Not by one Orisha, but by all of them. A warning passed down through the ages. It was whispered to the winds, carried by the rivers, carved into sacred stones. Scroll, the time will come when the children of the earth will turn away from the sky. They will deny the gods, call themselves rulers of their own fate. And when that day arrives, the Orishas will return. Some say the prophecy was a warning. Others say it was a promise. But what no one knew was how the gods would return, or what they would do when they did. The world had been given a choice, to honor the Orishas, or to challenge them. And from that moment on, history itself became the battlefield. Cyclone Chapter 8, the final gift, the secret power left behind for mankind. But even as the Orishas withdrew, they did not abandon the world completely. They left behind something hidden, something only the worthy could find. It was said that before the gods departed, they placed a final gift deep within the earth, in the rivers, in the stars. A power known only to a few. A power that could change the course of destiny itself. This power was called Ash. Ash was the very essence of creation, the spark of the divine that lived within all things. It was neither good nor evil, neither weak nor strong. It simply was. And those who learned to harness it could shape the world itself. Some say ash was given to the priests and priestesses, hidden in sacred rituals. Others say it was scattered across the lands, waiting to be discovered by those who sought the truth. But the greatest secret of all was that ash lived in every human being. And so, the Orishas left, but their influence never faded. Because as long as there were those who remembered them, those who spoke their names, those who called upon ash, the gods were never truly gone. Chapter 9, the legacy of the Orishas, the eternal connection between gods and men. And so, the gods withdrew, their war fading into the echoes of time. But their story was never truly over, because their essence still flows through the rivers, lingers in the winds, and burns in the hearts of those who still remember. The Orishas did not abandon mankind. Instead, they gave them a gift greater than fire, greater than knowledge, the power to shape their own destiny. For some, the gods are mere legends, stories whispered in the dark. But for those who listen closely, who seek the truth hidden beneath the surface, the signs are still there. In the rumble of thunder, the spirit of Shango still roars. In the deep, flowing waters, Umoja still watches. And in the paths of fate, Oromala still guides those who are willing to listen. So ask yourself, are the Orishas gone? Or have they simply been waiting? The story of the Orishas is not just a tale of gods and men. It is a living legend, one that still shapes our world today. Performing arts, have you ever experienced something unexplainable? A moment where it felt like fate was calling to you? Maybe, just maybe, the Orishas were watching. Scroll if you want to uncover more hidden African myths and forgotten legends. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. There are countless stories waiting to be told, and we're just getting started. Speaking ahead, and before you go, tell me in the comments, do you believe the Orishas still influence our world today? Or have they truly been forgotten? Rocket, until next time, remember, the past is never truly gone. It's just waiting to be rediscovered.